Growing up, I struggled with a major reading disability. My reading disability was so bad that in middle school and in high school, I was put in resource classes just to learn how to begin how to read. I had such a fear of walking into school, going to class, sitting down, and getting called next on the teacher to read in front of everybody. I knew that this had a negative impact on my grades. It was then when I got a report card in the mail. And as I skimmed, I had a peak experience. I knew that I needed to change. As a young girl, I wanted to graduate high school. I wanted to go to college. What was I going to do? I would grab my favorite book and I would open it to a random page. And I would sit in front of my microwave and I would type 5 minutes on the timer and I would begin to read. The very first time I did this, it took me the full 5 minutes just to read one page. This was devastating. I knew that I had a lot of practice to do to achieve my goals. If it wasn't for that peak experience, my personal awareness, I would not be here today. I had to ask myself about my self-actualization. Who am I? What is my potential? We all have potential, whether it's being a great athlete, being wonderful parents, having independence, forgiveness. Researchers did a survey on Maslow's theory on peak experiences. 2% of the people that took the survey, they knew what and when they had a peak experience throughout their lives. For the other 98%, they knew that they had potential, but they didn't know how to recognize it. I would have been one of those 98%. Still today, I struggle on when I have those moments and when I have that eye-opener in life. So there's a quote that I go by that helps me when I struggle. It's, do the best you can until you know better. Then once you know better, do better. Like I told you guys, I do struggle on when I have my peak experience and my moments. So for those who struggle, this is what you can ask yourself, and this is what I had to do. Find your passion. Find your one thing, and it can be more than one. Once you find your passion, find the value of that passion and identify both. Next is why. Ask yourself, why am I so passionate about this? Why is it so valuable to me? Why is this going to be my life-changing experience? Now that you found your passion, you found the value, and you answered yourself why, next is tell and share. Push your vulnerability aside, get out, share your stories with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people who surround us every day that you know who loves, who cares, and who wants to listen to you. For me, my passion, I wanted to learn how to read. The value was the knowledge in achieving my goals. The why, I was tired of getting picked on, and I wanted to be able to play games with my friends and not be scared to read a card out loud. And tell, I am pushing my vulnerability aside, and I am here right now sharing my story with you guys. The more that you tell, the more you're going to experience how real it is inside. Peak experiences are so important, and they're so life-changing. They are our missing puzzle piece in our life. So get up, find your passion, find the value, answer those why, and just tell your stories. Thanks.
Okay, ready in 5, 4, 3.
We've all seen them on the TV screen. We've all heard them on the radio. We even have access in our pockets right now. And that is the media. But not just the media. How the media depicts young black African-American males such as myself. I was doing a lot of research these past few weeks and came across something on Twitter called #IfTheyGunnMeDown. Which picture would they use? Now in this, the man, as you see, is a Marine for the United States. He protects and serves for our country. But in the pic to the left, it depicts something totally different. If you saw him on the street, you'd think he's violent, he's a gangbanger. He'd probably mug you, right? But that's what the media shapes and wants you to see. In the next image I'm going to show you, it depicts something else. Everyone knows all-pro cornerback Richard Sherman, arguably the best corner in football right now. On Fox Sports, he was referred to as a thug. Mind you, this man has never had a traffic ticket, graduated from Stanford with a 3.9 GPA, and is referred to as a thug. Yet, Justin Bieber, the pop icon, intoxicated, peeing, screaming at the top of his lungs, F Bill Clinton, spitting on fans, leaving his shows early without even performing, is referred to as a misguided teen. Now, where is that line drawn? Who is the media to say that this man is a thug? He's never had a traffic ticket. Is it the color of his skin? Why isn't Justin Bieber being discriminated against the same way my people are? The media is unfair, and the media is going to shape your beliefs if you don't be careful. As you can see in my next image, the Colorado Aurora shootings that happened 3 years ago, which is only 15 minutes away from my sister's home in Colorado. When they put his picture initially on the news, they used his photo to show that he was brilliant. He looked much like myself right now, dressed nice and spiffy. But when Mike Brown was murdered this summer in Ferguson, Missouri, they used a photo that didn't quite show his achievements. As I did research, I found photos of him walking on graduation by just a simple type of his name. So the media couldn't depict that. They couldn't show him succeeding. They couldn't show him as a brilliant high school student. Is that how the media depicts us? In my next image, you'll see something even better, more clear. Like I said in the beginning, the media on the TV, on the radio, but in text, online for you to read. Why is it that they discriminate against us and say the black suspect? And then when it's someone else of another descent, it's the suspect. Why do they have to go in vivid detail when it's with my race and ethnicity? Why? These are questions I still want to know, and I can't get the answers to. Why don't they go into more detail on the news and instead of talking about muggings, carjackings, rapes by black suspects, why don't they talk about our dropping high school dropout rates? Why aren't they talking about our rising high school black graduations or our rising black college graduations? They don't want you to see that. Oh no, that's too much. They don't want to see us succeed. They want to keep us down here. They don't want you to know about my man Joel Jones, the youngest city councilman in Inkster, Michigan, 20 years old. They don't want you to know about that. They want you to see the other side of things. They want to see all the welfare takers, the people that skim off welfare. They want you to see the drug dealers. They want you to see the baby mama drama. They don't want you to see the real side of African American males. Now, all of you know me. I'm very well known on campus, and I'm the epitome, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The antithesis of all of these stereotypes. So if I sagged my pants and flicked the camera off and I was gunned down, which side would you be forced to believe? The good old me, the 3.5 GPA student, or would I be the thug who's flipping the camera off? You decide. Don't let the media shape it. Thank you.
Good work.
On October 28th, 1990.
Let's do it one more time. Sorry about that.
Oh, stop. It's dancing now. It's cross-legged out.
Yeah, got it out. Okay.
Ready in 5, 4, 3.
On October 28th, 1990, my brother was killed in a car accident. This is my brother. His name was Jason Robert Cosby. He was hit by a drunk driver. He was a passenger in a car that was driven by his best friend's brother, and there was 3 other occupants in the car besides my brother. This drunk driver ran the red light and plowed right into where my brother was sitting in the back seat of the car. He lost his life that day. What really got me was the steps that he went through during the day. He did several things that one might think maybe he had maybe he had a forethought of what was going to come. He took the time to quit his job. It was a job that wasn't very good to him, but he quit his job. He made 2 phone calls that were very important. One to my grandma, told her how much he loved her, and one to my mom, and told her how much he loved her. We can't take life for granted. We never know what's going to come. Do we want to live our life with regret, or do we want to live our life full of love and choices? Just last Friday, my mom was on her way home from Mesquite, Nevada, and she rolled her car. This is the image from St. George News. Anyone that saw this might have thought, oh my God, did that woman make it? The next image is what the car looked like in the tow yard. And the next one is from the inside dash of the car, which is where they had to cut my mom out of. Thank God, she had no broken bones. She survived. The only thing that happened to my mom was she had a contusion on her right hand. This last image is the picture of her arm. And in the top corner, you can see her other hand. Kind of shows a little bit of the size. My mom was very lucky that day. It makes you think, don't take life for granted. You never know what's going to come around the corner. We need to make sure that we can share our love, our laughter, our beliefs, our pain, and get that off of our chest so that we can go for our dreams and live like there is no tomorrow. If we take the opportunity to get up and go for our dreams and follow what we inside are wanting, we have the opportunity to make others' lives easier and better in the process. If we take the time to live, to laugh, and to love, we can make this world a better place, not only for ourselves, but for everyone that we come in contact with. Thank you.
I may not look the part, but I'm actually a really big nerd. You may see on the Big Bang Theory someone that has like Sheldon, the Green Lantern shirt, or someone with the Flash on all the time. I may not look that part, but I am. I absolutely love comic books. I love the characters in them. They're very complex individuals, and so are the worlds in which they live. The worlds in which they live have a lot going on. Marvel bases their world off of the one we live in, and DC bases it off one made up, but very similar to the one. In comic books, you may know, some of you may read them, or have heard about them, because movies are a big deal with comics today, that when a hero dies or somebody goes away, it's a rather big deal. It's a major comic book event. And when a hero dies, it's often forgot or overlooked the effects of the death of that hero on the world around them. What do the people do after someone like Captain America or Superman or Batman dies? What effects? How does the government react? How do the people do? People depended on these people to save their lives and keep them away from disaster their entire lives. I'm going to relate that to my life. I'm from Ogden, Utah, and I've grown up with two older siblings, Amy, who's 3 years older than me, and Shane, who's 9 years older than I am. Shane is the person who was my best friend growing up. Shane taught me a lot about who I am today. Shane listened to rap music growing up, and so I listened to rap music growing up. Shane read certain books, and I read them too. Shane wore a certain type of clothing, and I wore that clothing. I wanted to be just like Shane. He was my hero. He was my favorite person in this world. Shane served a two-year service mission, so I served a 2-year mission. He went to college for a couple of years and was going to drop out, so I was going to do that. And he started his own business, and he became very successful. He's made millions of dollars and created multiple businesses. So that was my plan, is to go to college, find that idea, and leave. Recently this year, in March, it was spring break, and I decided to go on a little trip with my friends. So we went to Mexico. And while in Mexico, obviously I didn't want to pay for the data, so I turned my phone off. And I didn't want to really know about anything else going on. When I turned my phone back on when I got to the United States, I had 30 missed messages and 10 missed voice messages. They were all concluding it, "Where are you? Where are you? I'm looking for you. I'm in St. George. Where can I find you?" These are from my brother. One's from my sister saying, "Where's Shane? What's going on?" One's from my sister-in-law, Shane's wife, also looking for him. My mother and my father are about the only ones I knew that I was actually in Mexico for a week. So my mom had a message on my phone, the last one, that said, "We've had some major incidents happen this week. Give me a call when you can." I'm very nervous at this point because you almost don't want to make that phone call home because you're afraid of hearing what's going to happen. I called my mom, and she related to me that my brother had a major mental breakdown, in a sense, and is now in the mental hospital at McCady in Ogden. And he had to self-admit himself and was restrained there. He was there for about a month or so, and they let him out because he was stable. They gave him drugs to help stabilize him a little because a lot of stuff, the details I won't go into, had happened, but it wasn't very good for my family. My sister-in-law had left him and took the kids, was in hiding from him. My family didn't really want much contact with him except to support him once he got out. A month later, the FBI showed up at his door and arrested him. He posted bail, but wrote it with a bad check. So a week later, the FBI showed up again with a $500,000 bail set. It had been about 7 months, and the first time I'd seen my brother since Christmas. And he was now sitting across from me through a little window in County Blues. My hero had died. He couldn't be that person anymore. He was mentally unstable. He was now a criminal. And he's currently looking at having 5 years at the minimum in a state penitentiary. It was really upsetting and was devastating to see the person who I had tried to model my entire life after now in prison. And it's still kind of hard to deal with at this time. I don't talk about this story very often. It's very close to me. But the point is that there are good things that have come about from this, and not that he's in jail, and I don't like that part at all. But because I tried to model my life after him so much and become so much like him, is that once he was no longer that person who was there, I had to go on a self-discovery. I had to find out who I was for myself and what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. Because I didn't have a hero. I didn't have a model there anymore. And it's been one of the greatest parts of my life. Because I stopped realizing that I had to stop comparing to who he was and who I wasn't. It's not that I wasn't good enough, but that I wanted to be him so much because he was so successful that when I wasn't him, my own achievements weren't that great. This year, I will be the first college graduate. This school year, I'll be the first college graduate for my entire family. That's a big deal. I've rose my grades from a failing from high school to a point where I'm very successful. I have lots of companies wanting to talk to me about getting a job after school. I've created a network of people and an extra family of friends that is invaluable to me. because my hero is no longer here, I'm able to see all the success of myself. And I want to highlight to you guys that it's okay to have goals, and people we look up to is someone we want to model our lives after. But do your own thing. See your own successes and all that you do in your life as accomplishments. Celebrate them, love them, enjoy them. And know that you have a successful life if you're trying hard enough. You don't have to be Captain America or Batman to be successful. And we all know we want to be Bruce Wayne or Tony Stark because they have a lot of money. But celebrate your own successes, your own life, your own achievements. Because they're the ones that really matter and will matter throughout your entire life. And thank you guys for being here.
It was my senior year of high school. I went to an open house party with a few of my friends. I heard that it was going to be really fun, so me and my friends all decided we wanted to go. Get to the party, and there's this girl that I've had a crush on for a long time, ever since 8th grade. And every time I saw this girl, like, she was just glowing. So I go up, and I'm just like, you know what? Tonight's the night. I'm going to talk to her. So I'm talking to her. Things are going great, you know. She's talking back to me. She's sticking around. And she gets up, she leaves, and she goes talk to her friends. My buddy Grayson comes up to me and says, "Oh, what's up with you and Reed?" And I said, "I don't know, man, just talking to her." He goes, "Oh, well, too bad she'll never go for a guy like you because your freckles are ugly." And that really hit me, like, that really hurt because, you know, it's just something that I've always had to deal with my whole life. No matter how many times my grandma told me they were just angel kisses, it didn't matter. Like, a friend told me that my freckles were ugly while I was trying to talk to this girl that I really liked. Flash forward a few more years to college. I'm at a party, and it's my friend's birthday party, and it's just awesome. Like, it was just really cool. He got a really sick room. It had a hot tub in it, and I remember a few of my teammates were always talking about this girl named Myra, and I'd only seen her a few times on her Instagram picture, and she was a really good-looking girl. And they said that she was going to be at this party. So I was just kind of like keeping my eye out, looking for Myra, and she crossed me, and we made eye contact, and she looked at me and said, "Your freckles are beautiful." The first thing that she ever said to me. And I was just like, my heart started racing. I got really nervous. I was excited. No one had told me that besides my mom and my grandma. But now let's talk about our words. Our words are not just like a symbol or a sound. They have meaning. We communicate with our words. I remember when I was asking my mom when I was little one time, I said, "Mom, why are some words bad?" She said, "Reese, because words have meaning." And that's true. Now think of your words like a poison. And this poison can either set us under a trap for life, a spell, or it can set us free. For example, when Grayson told me that my freckles were ugly, I inhaled that poison, and I was under a spell for a while that my freckles were ugly. And what about when our words are used as a good poison? Like when Myra told me that my freckles were beautiful, and I took that poison, and all of a sudden, that just dropped the spell. I was not under that spell anymore. What I'm trying to say here is that you shouldn't let someone's word, for the good or whether it's good or bad, let how you think about yourself. It all comes from what's inside and what you think about yourself. Think about your brain as like a soil where grass can grow on top of it. And what grows the grass are the seeds. What are the seeds? They're ideas, they're concepts. If we believe those concepts and let them grow, they can grow big and they can grow strong. For example, how many of you guys have told yourself that you're stupid? Probably. But what if you really believe that? And you believe that you're stupid? And what's funny is you end up doing things to make sure that you're actually stupid. And you might say to yourself, "Oh, if I was smart, I wouldn't have done that. But I'm stupid, so I did it." But someone reassures you and comes up to you and says, you're not stupid. Someone that you really care about, and you accept that agreement, and you make an agreement with yourself, I'm not stupid, you're no longer stupid. But when on the other side, someone comes up to you and says, wow, you are the stupidest person I've ever met, then that's like the seed that gets planted, and it grows even stronger because you've already made that agreement with yourself. So it just makes the agreement stronger. And finally, I have this picture of this cat and this lion. And this picture is just so strong and so symbolic because this cat, he sees himself as a lion in the mirror. And that's all that matters, is how you see yourself. If this cat sees himself as a beast, he can do anything he wants. Whether it's if he's a smart lion, a strong lion, a fast lion, whatever, he can do whatever he wants. So I just got so caught up in what other people used to think about me, and I really never asked myself what I thought about myself. But now every day I look in the mirror and I tell myself how beautiful I am. And you guys should all do the same. Thank you.
I never thought I was going to get a college degree. Growing up, I only had one example in my entire family of someone who had finished college, and that was my grandmother. When my father was only 2 years old, my grandpa died, leaving my grandma with an unfinished house and 4 small children. She was told to give them up for adoption because there would never be a chance for her to provide for them on her own. Others told her to go on government assistance. Instead, my grandmother sold Avon out of that unfinished house, and she was somehow able to keep it secret from her clients that she was actually allergic to all of the products. Can I start over? Sorry, I totally forgot. Hang on one second. Here, don't use that one, use this one. Sorry. So it's right here. So yeah, just go right along with me. So it should have been that she then paid her own way through college. Okay, sorry. Ugh. I hate cameras. Okay.
Stand by at 5, 4, 3.
I never thought I was going to get a college degree. In my family growing up, the only example of someone who got a college degree was my grandmother. When my father was only 2 years old, my grandfather died, leaving my grandma with an unfinished house and 4 small children. She was told to give them up for adoption because she would never be able to provide for them on her own. Others told her to go on government assistance. Instead, my grandmother sold Avon out of that unfinished house. With the money she earned, she was able to put herself through college. And the amazing thing was the entire time she was able to keep secret from her clients that she was actually allergic to the products. At 5'2", this amazing woman taught her sons how to hunt and fish, and she taught all of her children that they could do hard things. Just a few short months ago, I was able to attend the graduation of my older sister, Amy, who graduated with a degree in psychology shortly after the birth of her 5th child. She was the second person in my family to get a college degree. In a few months, I will become the 3rd. 3 women, 3 mothers. I hope that we can stand as an example to our children that they can do anything they put their minds to, especially in the most difficult of situations. Going to school with children has been the hardest thing I have ever had to do. Now, my 7-year-old thinks it's pretty cool that we are going to school at the same time, but that doesn't take away the disappointment when I'm the only mom that can't help out at the 2nd grade Halloween party. It doesn't take away my disappointment and my heartache when I'm hearing about the milestones of my 4-year-old from the babysitter instead of being able to be there myself. As a mom going to school, you constantly feel like you are juggling a million things, from your kids to your husband to professors to your kids' teachers, work schedules, babysitters. And if any one of these dominoes falls, everything goes down. Just a few weeks ago, the dominoes fell. A group project had been rescheduled last minute. My babysitter was sick, and there I was dragging my 4-year-old to the library with a backpack full of blocks and crayons. The whole way he was asking me, "Are we going to the park?" And of course, I did what any mom would do. As I'm fighting back tears and frustrations, I tell him we are going on a magical adventure to a place with glass walls and lots of books. But it doesn't make it any easier. I have realized, though, that if my children's experiences, if my children's memories from this age are of their mother dragging them to the library with a backpack full of blocks and crayons, that at least they will know that my education is important to me. I know, though, that despite all of these difficulties, I am not Malala. I did not stand with her in Pakistan, as at the age of 11, she stood up for a girl's right to education. I did not walk with her to school every day on those dusty streets that were lined with the bodies of Pakistani police that had been beheaded by the Taliban. And I was not on the bus that day when 2 armed men called for her by name and shot her in the face for standing up for her right to an education and the rights of those other girls who are uneducated all around the world. But with the rest of the world, I did watch her as she recovered from such a devastating attack. I watched as she continued to stand up for herself, to continue to speak out without a hint of fear or resentment toward those attackers. And I watched as she won the Nobel Peace Prize and built a school for Syrian refugees. No, I am not Malala, but I believe in her cause. To women everywhere, I would say, your education matters. Across the globe, in communities, as women are educated, the whole community thrives and advances. According to the Global Partnership for Education, as female education increases, so does the average GDP. That means as production increases, wages increase, and the quality of life increases for everyone. Educated women are marrying later, which in places like Africa, the Middle East, and South America, where child brides are common, this is a significant fact. Children of educated women are more likely to live past the age of 5. And probably the most important thing is that educated women are more likely to educate future generations. There's an African proverb that says, if you educate a boy, you educate one person. If you educate a girl, you educate a family and a nation. As my graduation approaches, I can't help but think that despite all of the things that I have been through, despite all of my difficulties, I am still incredibly lucky. If I had been born in another part of the world, I may not have access to an education. If I had been born at another time, I might not have the right to attend a university. But just the fact that I am here in the United States getting my degree makes me more fortunate than 93% of the world's population. I did not have to risk my life to be here today. I did not have to walk 10 miles to my classes. I was not disfigured simply for wanting an education. When I think about Malala, I wonder, how am I going to change the world? How am I going to use my education to inspire others? And then I remember my grandma. And I realize that one person can create a legacy. One person can change the course for future generations. So no, I am not Malala. But because I am a girl who has had the opportunity to have an education, I can educate my family and my nation. And in so doing, I will change the world. Totally, oh yeah.
Can I see myself on camera first?
Hold on, there you go. There's that shot. There's that shot.
All right. Yeah, perfect. Oh, this is going to be, all right.
Ask Reese how you're looking.
How am I looking, Reese? Beautiful?
Okay. Stand by, ready in 5, 4, 3.
You know, as a young child, I was so worried about fitting in instead of getting my education. You know, the cool thing wasn't to be the kid that won the spelling bee. or the kid that smiled every day but had that tooth missing. I wanted to be that kid that was the best on the basketball court or the most popular kid on the playground. I relied on this to build my self-esteem as a young adult. That was one of my biggest mistakes I made in life. I became an actor of my own life. I was worried about other people's approval instead of chasing my own pursuit of happiness. I learned a very valuable lesson in this. You know, this lesson isn't just one chapter. This lesson is still being written to this day. It took me 25 years of my life to realize success comes from within and not other people's opinion. From a hero on the hardwood to a criminal sitting in a jail cell. I didn't realize till then how important self-esteem really was. Sitting in that jail cell, I experienced horrible feelings. Feelings of hopelessness. Feelings of worthlessness. Feelings of even abandonment. No friends in sight. But you know what? I'm grateful for experiencing those feelings. Those feelings are what made me who I am today. They made me realize my self-actualization. And without realizing my self-actualization, I was never going to reach my full potential. I vividly remember this conversation with this inmate. He was 75 years old. He was from the Bronx, New York. He was getting ready to do life in prison. And what I remember about our conversation is he told me I had a wrong perspective of life. He told me, you're chasing pleasure and you're not chasing self-fulfillment. I'll take those words that man told me to the grave. He shifted my whole paradigm of how I view life. I would like to leave you guys with one thing. Don't ever let someone dictate your self-value. That's what delayed me. That's what delayed me realizing my own self-actualization. But now I realize my own self-actualization. I know my full potential, and I'm going to reach that. That's all I have for today.
Nope.
I know you'd rather walk through busted glass on your lips. You're ready? 5, 4, 3.
I was enlisted. My husband's a member of the United States National Guard as a section of the Special Forces as a paratrooper. He served our country since 2011 in March, and he sacrificed a lot. I'm not an official member of the military, but I am a soldier's wife. When you get married, you have an expectation that your husband will always be there, that you'll be able to share good times, happy times, laugh together, cry together, get angry at each other, to help build each other up, maybe every now and again tear each other down, to share side glances and memories. But when you are a soldier, sometimes that calls for you to be separated from your family. And that means the spouse is separated from their husband or wife. When a soldier goes into active duty, they change. They see things so that people, civilians, don't have to experience things that they will have to experience, things they have to see. In the 70s, this wasn't even recognized. And they came up with a mental disorder for there is a psychological disorder known as PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. Once the military knew about this, they started creating organizations so the military could work to help those soldiers, work to help them be more of themselves than they were before they left. And it's been great. People change, and they're constantly improving this system. But what about those enlisted? What about the spouses? There is an unofficial term for military spouses known as secondary PTSD, which in a rough description means the person suffering doesn't necessarily go through the traumatic events, but has someone that's close to them going through the traumatic events and mimics PTSD symptoms. No, there is no official organization set up for this kind of diagnosis. The military does have an open door policy, but it's expected of the spouses to go to them. That's not enough. Military spouses feel like they have to put on a brave front because all the other spouses are putting on a brave front, when really we're all just hiding in closets, afraid, scared, having nightmares, suffering. There needs to be a call for change. People need to know, military spouses, we're not in the military, but we do fight battle here. We do suffer. We are alone. And we are the neglected enlisters. Thank you.
Okay, stand by, ready in 5, 4, 3.
Mason Wortman worked a desk job in New York City on Wall Street. It was while he was working here at his desk job that he decided to do something different, something new to him. He realized the local success of the pizza shops in New York City and decided he wanted to give his shot at it. He decided to open a pizza shop called Rose's Fresh Pizza. It was here, while he was working, that a homeless gentleman came in and was buying some pizza. While he was there, he asked to pay for a piece of pizza for the next person that would come in that wouldn't be able to afford it themselves. Having agreed to this, the owner, Mr. Wortman, decided to go out and buy some Post-it notes. It was with this Post-it note that he put behind him on the register for that the next person that came in that couldn't afford the piece of pizza could redeem the one that was previously paid for. Since then, this concept of pay it forward has taken off, and especially within this community, so much that there are over 10,000 Post-it notes that have been paid for people to come in and that aren't able to afford it. They can take one of these Post-it notes and redeem a piece of pizza. This pay it forward concept has changed the community within Philadelphia. This concept of pay it forward is what I would like to touch on today because it's personally touched my life. I've been personally affected by people that have paid it forward for me. And the joys and the excitement that I've received from that are unexplainable. I'm sure we've all had similar stories ourselves where someone has done something nice for us. Or maybe you've done something for someone else. Again, paying it forward without anything in expectations in return. I think this concept has touched me more at this time in my life because we're in a world that needs this culture far more than anything right now. We're so consumed, unfortunately, with our daily lives and what we have going and what's coming at us that sometimes we forget that other people don't have those same availabilities in their life. This concept and this idea of pay it forward is an amazing ripple effect that can take place in our community if we simply think about someone else for a minute rather than ourselves. I'm grateful for business owners like Mr. Wortman, but let me encourage ourselves also that you don't have to be a business owner. You don't have to own a pizza shop. You don't have to own a different. You don't have to have all this money in the world to help someone else. Sometimes these are our friends. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's someone in our community. I would like to encourage us to take this opportunity that next time you have that little feeling, that inner self-thought of, I should do this. I should help this person out. That instead of saying, oh, I'll do it later, take that moment and that opportunity that day to pay it forward. Thank you.
15 years ago, I was a real dick. In fact, in order to get my way, I would even resort to violence. You see, it took me 2 weeks of argument and coercion to finally get my wife to agree with my point of view. You see, my son just wasn't perfect enough. Never mind that he was 9 pounds, 10 ounces, and a bundle of joy. He just wasn't what I wanted him to be. So we scheduled him for his very first cosmetic surgery. Upon arriving at the doctor's office, I felt a little bit of apprehension for what was about to happen, but not so much that it caused me to stop what I was going to do. As I lay my son on the operating table, I was given the option to hold him down myself, and so I took advantage of that. As the doctor pulled on his surgical gloves in preparation, I mentally braced myself for what was about to happen. With a slender probe, the doctor inserted it into his penis and with a violent motion separated his foreskin from the glands. As the blood was mopped up, the doctor quickly reassured me that everything was according to plan and not to worry at all. Minutes later, the surgery was complete, and my son was just like me. Now, I'm sure you all are familiar with Frosted Flakes, but I've got a question for you. Does it bring out the tiger in you? You see, the founder of Kellogg's cereals was a man by the name of John Harvey Kellogg. Dr. Kellogg was an influential psychiatrist and operated a few different insane asylums as well as a health spa in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Being the good Christian man that he was, he wanted to help his patients to get well. One of the biggest factors he saw in poor health was that of sex and masturbation. Now, he believed, most importantly, that masturbation caused 39 different diseases in the body, as well as mental insanity. As he searched for a cure to eliminate sexual urges, he came up with many different food products, such as cornflakes. But when proper nutrition failed to put the tiger back in the cage, he went looking for another option. For women and girls, the application of carbolic acid to their clitoris was made to chemically burn it from their bodies. For men and boys, a strand of sterling silver was placed through their foreskin to create a great deal of pain upon any type of sexual arousal. You see, let's take a look at the statistics today and where that has led us to. Currently, in the world, 85% of men are not circumcised. But we see a stark difference here in the United States in that 81% of men are circumcised routinely at birth. In 1999, the American Academy of Pediatricians concluded a 40-year study. And at the conclusion of that study, they recommended that the practice of routine infant circumcision be discontinued. Yet to this day, we have seen very little decrease in the rate of circumcision in infants. In an adult male circumcision, between 12 and 16 square inches of penile tissue is removed. Estimates range from 10,000 to 40,000 specialized nerve endings are in that skin. Obviously, that missing skin must have some effect on sexual performance or satisfaction. Furthermore, psychologists, as they have studied infant circumcision, which is routinely performed without anesthetic, they have found correlation between infant circumcision and sexual abuse in later life. Currently, in the United States, circumcision is more about tradition than anything else. When we look at other cultures, some cultures prize the shape of the skull, and therefore they wrap their children's heads tightly to get the proper shape of skull. Other cultures prize small feet, and so girls' feet are bound up for years on end so that their feet stay very small and attractive, just to be culturally acceptable. Now, a question for you is, if you believe in God, and if you believe that He is all-knowing and all-powerful, do you believe that He delivers children to this earth flawed, only to be perfected by surgery and by human intervention? And if you're not a believer, do you believe that we at least have rights to our own bodies and to make our own decisions? Because I do. Traditions run deep. And for at least the last 5 generations in the United States, we have continued this practice, and it continues today. Now, I don't expect to change your traditions. I don't expect you to change your mind in a matter of minutes. But what I do expect, and what I do hope, is that you will understand and you will learn more about routine infant circumcision. And please, think before you cut. Thank you. I can't even open my mouth. Oh my gosh.